Okay, Barry, are you ready for this? Chapter 1004 of One Piece, the long-awaited reveal of Kaido of the Beast's hybrid zone form. My God. You know what I love about Oda, Barry? You know, when he sets things up, he just reveals it the next week. He doesn't make you wait for weeks and weeks on end teasing you, right? Remember that time they talked about Vegapunk, and then the very next week, what did Oda do? He revealed what Vegapunk looks like. I love Oda. He just cuts right to the chase. Okay, so we're not getting Kaido's hybrid form this week, but I assume we're probably going to get it. Well, not next week either, because there's a break after this, so, yeah. But this is a good chapter. We do cut back down to see what's going on in the festival hall with the Tobi Roppo and everything. You know, that's just what it comes down to, you know? It's like, you got Luffy, Kid, Killer, Zoro, and Law fighting two Yonko on the roof. Yeah, that's very exciting, but you also have all the other Straw Hats and all the other members of the rebellion down below, and so you gotta have to kind of balance their battles, right? So, yes, we did leave off on a very, climactic point in the fight with Kaido revealing his hybrid. That would have actually been a pretty cool place to end Act 3. I don't know, like, you know, Onigashima gets lifted up. Nope, don't end Act 3 there. Freaking Luffy shows up and boom, Red Rock, beginning the proper fight between the supernovas of the new generation versus the Yonko of the old generation. Nope, don't end Act 3 there. Kaido walks out in the freaking hybrid form with the smoke settling as, you know, Luffy lost Gear 4th, and it's like, oh man, are they going to be able to face off against this threat? Not ending Act 3 there, so I don't know how this is going to go. It's gonna be something weird. It's gonna be, like, I don't know, Frankie's running around in the Frankie Shogun and then trips on a banana peel and falls down. End of Act 3. You know, then you get Hiyori to queue up with the shamisen, like, and the Frankie Shogun slipped on a banana peel. Boom, end of Act 3. Will it get back up afterwards? And then Act 4 starts with him just getting back up, like, oh, that was weird. All right, let's continue the fight, Sasuke. All right, so this will be chapter 1004, titled Millet Dango or Kibi Dango. This is, of course, referencing Tama's Devil Fruit power. Don't know the name of it yet, but we'll probably get that pretty soon because it's now a prevalent force here at Onigashima. I do want to mention the cover page really quick because it's Chopper alongside a monkey and a squirrel eating Rumble Ball candy. So I'm assuming Chopper is now mass marketing the Rumble Ball as like a jawbreaker kind of candy, but I can't help but think, like, the whole point of, like, the Rumble Ball pre-time skip was, like, if Chopper takes more than 3 of those, he goes into Monster Point, and post-time skip, he only needs the 1 to go into a controlled Monster Point. But here, in the cover page, they're just downing Rumble Ball candies by, like, the dozens. I'm like, Chopper, no, you gotta go easy on the Rumble Balls. He's hooked on the Rumble Balls. You need help, Chopper. You need help. You just can't be taking that many Rumble Balls. I understand they're just a candy and it's funny, but it's just like, yeah, these are the things that warp zone powers. I'm just gonna just down like an entire bag in one gulp. Okay. So the chapter starts and we don't even cut to the roof. We don't even see what's going on there in this chapter. We actually open up with Speed. Yeah, the sexy centaur lady. It's been a while since we've seen her. I thought she was dead. Oh wait, yeah, Oda doesn't really like to kill a lot of characters, but the last time we did see Speed, she went up against Kaido, so you don't know where that's gonna go, right? So of course, Tama fed Speed one of the dongos at the beginning of the arc. She was a headliner that worked under Jack, right, back at Okabore Town, and so Speed became an ally of Tama, and so Tama and, you know, Speed were heading back to Amagasa Village, and then Kaido arrived in his dragon form. Speed tried to protect Tama, and Kaido was just like, oh, Speed, so you're betraying me now. All right. And then just moved on. So we assumed Speed was, you know, maybe critically injured, but here she seems fine. She's recovered from that. And she is just going around the tower of Onigashima, handing out to all the other gifters and the headliners, everybody that has a smile power, the dongo. She has a giant bag of Tama's little Kibi dongos, just handing out to all the gifters, and she's lying to them and saying, oh yeah, these were developed by Queen with a special tonic. They should heal all your wounds and give you a muscle boost. So here you go. And so, of course, all the gifters in the surrounding area are accepting the dongo. They're not even questioning it. Why would they? From their perspective, Speed is their freaking superior. She's a headliner, right? And there's no reason for them not to think about that. So, you know, Speed's just going around handing these out and people are eating them. There's also gifters that are just, like, really enamored with Speed, that are, like, attracted to her. Like, Speed's hot. Yeah, I'll take these dongos. Sure, whatever you say. It reminds me of that scene from, I rewatched the the SpongeBob SquarePants movie this past week? The first one with David Hasselhoff? Yes, of course. By the way, it holds up. Remember that scene where SpongeBob and Patrick just get drunk at a bar? Yeah, that's the weird parts of your childhood, you're right? Okay, anyway, there's that one scene where Patrick says to the mermaid princess, like, you're hot. That's kind of what this is. Like, Speed is just, you know, like, galloping down the hallway, handing out these dango. It's like, you need to eat these dongos. They're going to make you heal and they'll get you stronger. And the gifters, half of the gifters aren't even paying attention to the explanation. They're like, yeah, sure, whatever you say, Speed. So whatever. This also, by the way, shows that this devil fruit that Tama has is ridiculously broken. Like, we already figured it was broken. This is broken, okay? Speed ate this one dango from Tama, like, weeks ago at this point. That's like 2 weeks prior to the Fire Festival. The Straw Hats arrived or something, right? It was at least over a week, right? The effects of this fruit, I mean, unless Tama has to keep, like, giving them the dango, if that's not the case, it seems to imply, like, they eat one of these dango, they are, like, pledged in service to the user of this devil fruit for the remainder of their days, right? If it hasn't worn off at this point, right? So that is actually a very terrifying devil fruit if, like, Big Mom or Kaido or Blackbeard got their hands on that power. And now, granted, yes, it only works so well in this situation because you have members of Kaido's crew that have artificial devil fruit smiles that take, like, the essence of animals and put them into your body, right? You know, combine them with you. We still don't know if it'll work on regular zones, and we assume it also doesn't work on human beings. Like, animals is, like, the domain of the fruit. But in this particular instance, this is the perfect devil fruit to absolutely devastate Kaido's crew. And we've all been thinking this as a fandom for years now, ever since Tama was introduced. Like, oh my god, that power is going to completely wreck Kaido's crew, right? They're just gonna go around, I kept saying they're gonna give Usopp the dango. We finally see that in this chapter. Usopp just firing off the dango with his slingshot, and in Queen's case, just going around and passing them out. We got a lot of other members from the prison, like Daifugo, that are helping out here. So, yeah, this is an absolutely devastating power that is going to shift the numbers, right? Last time with the CP0 at the Go board, and they were like, oh, well, you know, they might be on a roll right now, but there's still only 5,000 samurai and 27,000 members of the Beast Pirates and the samurai and everything like that, so don't worry about it. Yes, a good chunk of that is, keep in mind, like 10,000 of that make up the ninja and the samurai, so they don't have smile powers, right? But the remainder of that, like a good 17,000 or something, a lot of these are gifters, right? And you don't even have to worry about the waiters and the pleasures. Like, you don't have to worry about that because they're like the lower echelon, like the riffraff of the crew. If we reduce the numbers down to just like nothing but waiters and pleasures, the war is over. We've won. You know, like that one time Luffy knocked out 50,000 fishmen during the Fishman Island arc, right? I think they can handle the riffraff no problem. So if you get a bunch of these gifters and headliners on your side, and then they help fight the remainder of Kaido's crew, this is how you win, right? This is how you win the fight. So anyway, yeah, that's what Speed is doing. We have a little bit of a flashback here to what exactly happened with Tama. Remember, Tama stated a few chapters ago how she got to Onigashima. She didn't really have time to explain the whole story, but she said to Nami, like, oh, I came here on an enemy ship, right? So I was thinking maybe Tama stowed away on, like, Orochi's procession ship or something. But no, here's what happened. So Tama was at the village, and she was helping people out as much as she could, you know, making the hats and everything for the samurai and everything, right? Where do you think the 9 red scabbards got their awesome hats? That's from Tama, right? Okay. But of course, Tama is an 8-year-old girl. They're not going to let her go to Onigashima in the middle of this giant battle with Yonko. I would say, though, the fact that she did have that crazy powerful devil fruit, maybe you could have taken that, you know, like taken a... Well, I guess the only reason it works is Tama has to be there to issue the orders, okay? It's not about who gives the person the dango. So Speed was handing out the dango, but I think they still have to listen to orders from Tama that Tama is giving, right? Or, well, actually, wait a second. Hold on. How does this work? Okay, so Speed is handing out the dango to all the members of the you know, the gifters and the headliners and everything, and they seem to be listening to her after she gives them the dango. So is she the one issuing the orders in this context, or is it still Tama, because Tama isn't there right now? So, yeah, I think they might just be listening to Speed because, as I said, like, you're hot. So they might just be listening to her in that regard, or she's their superior, so of course they would listen to her. But at any rate, whatever. So, Tama goes up to Speed and is like, hey, I want to go fight in this war. I want to help win. I want to see Momo be the Shogun, but nobody's letting me go. And Speed is like, don't worry about it. You know, I'll take care of it. So Speed has her own ship, and so she gets her ship plus all the members of, like, the prison, like Daifugo is there and everybody. And so on the ship, as they're en route to Onigashima, I'm assuming they left maybe around the same time as the other samurai. Maybe they were lagging behind just a little bit, so they weren't caught up in the major, like, attack or whatever. But at any rate, while they're on the ship, she's using her devil fruit power over and over again to pull out the dongos and make giant heaps of them and handing them out to all of her followers, right? And so this is something that obviously drains her, like, her stamina. It's kind of the same thing with Law's room. You know, the way I look at, like, devil fruit powers, it gives you a new thing that you can do with your body or whatever. Like, Luffy can stretch and all that. Law can make his rooms, but it still takes stamina. And in the case with Luffy and Law, you know, they're really, really powerful, and they've trained for a long time. So Luffy can stretch, you know, it seems like he can stretch without any repercussions, but eventually Luffy would run out of stamina. Gear 4th is a perfect example of that as well. Law stated, like, yeah, I can make a room the size of a mountain, but it's probably going to drain my stamina and probably shorten my lifespan a bit. So here's Tama using her devil fruit. You know, there is an upper limit to how many dongos she can make. She can't just keep doing this, you know, ad infinitum or whatever, all right? I just really wanted to use that phrase, ad infinitum. That is such a fun, it sounds like a spell from, like, Harry Potter or something, right? Infinitum. Anyway, so she makes a boatload of dongos on the ship, and she passes them out to Speed and Daifugo and all the members of the gifters, and she's like, okay, when we get to the island, you know, go around and just basically feed these dongo to all of the gifters, everyone that has a smile fruit that you can see, to get them on our side, all right? So that's basically the battle plan there. Also, I love how Tama, because at the beginning of the story, Tama was like, you know, she was really, really poor, and she's living in this village, and it's just like, she doesn't get to eat very much. She only gets to eat that, like, millet, right? And so she was like, you know, oh, it's okay, though, because I'm going to be a kunoichi. I can deal with the hunger. You know, it's really bad and stuff, and I feel really weak, but it'll be okay, because I'm going to be a kunoichi, and Ace is going to come back someday. She just says here, like, straight out, like, I'm sick of this crap. I'm sick of Kaido. I'm sick of Orochi. I want them to get the hell out of my country, and I want to eat real freaking food. And she's crying as she's saying this to Speed and everybody, just like, I'm tired of this crap. You know, be a kunoichi, you know, whatever. No, I'm freaking starving here, okay? I want to eat rice, and I want to, you know, eat it with Momo, and I want him to be the Shogun, and I want Kaido and Orochi to get their stupid asses out of the country, all right? So Tama's not having any of this shit no more, right? She's going for it. She's like, you know what? They wouldn't want to listen to me. I have a devil fruit power that literally allows me to take control of Kaido's entire army if used correctly. I'm going to use that power. Sorry, Luffy. Sorry, Kinemon. You didn't want me to be in danger. But, you know, I think I am the one that's going to be the turning of the tides in this battle. And she totally is, by the way. So, yeah. So you got Speed, you got Gazelle Man, you got Daifugo, and a bunch of other gifters. We cut to Onigashima. Gazelle Man's running around. He's just like, here you go, sir. Have this, have this, have this. Daifugo's the scorpion gifter. He's crawling around the freaking rooms. He's not even asking them. He's just grabbing them and just shoving the dongo down their throat. And there's, Daifugo, he speeds past members of the prison, because Daifugo was one of the guards at the prison, and the prisoners are like, hey, you're Daifugo, you know, we got a freaking score to settle with you. And he's like, nah, that's all water under the bridge, you know, here, hand out these dongos. Oh my god, this is freaking chaos. But hey, you know what? This is the smart thing to do. If you had this power, this is how you would do it, right? It's just like, hey, here, take a bunch of dongo. You guys are the enemy, but, you know, you're my allies, but they think you're the enemy. I mean, yeah, they think they're still on your side, so go around and just pass them out to people. Do whatever you gotta do to get them to eat it. And then when they eat them, then you can give them more dongo and they can start passing it out. And so it just spreads all over the damn island, you know? There you go. So, I don't know how many freaking gifters in this chapter that they sway over their side, but there's a lot of them. They basically have their own gifter army at the end of this chapter. It's insane. Okay, so that's all going on. Now we cut over to see what's going on with Frankie and Sasuke. So if we're gonna continue any fight, it's gotta be the Frankie and Sasuke fight, okay? So Frankie's in the Shogun, you know, he's busting out general left, and he's like all of the rapid-fire machine gun attacks. They're not even denting Sasuke. Sasuke's just walking through the machine gun fire like it's nothing. He's got the armor, he's got the Triceratops shield and the horns, he's busting right through, and he's about ready to just gore, just to ram the Frankie Shogun. So Frankie, like, turns off the guns and he grabs the horns, you know, so the main horn of Triceratops, Sasuke's like right here, right about to pierce right where Frankie is in the armor of the Frankie Shogun. So Frankie grabs that, he grabs the other horn, he's like, ugh, and he like tosses him over. Frankie Shogun is ridiculously strong. Frankie himself has a lot of power, but it still took a lot of effort to like get that freaking Triceratops off of him. So he tosses him over to the side, and he whips out, he's about to whip out like the RPGs that Frankie keeps in the freaking shoulder pads. He's like, Frankie! And then as that's happening, some of the armored squad, the gifters that work under Sasuke, grab the Shogun. They all gang up and grab the Shogun, and even though they are small fry, as Frankie calls them, they're still gifters, so they still have that primal power. They're still really strong, and so one of them, you know, the Frankie Shogun might be able to shake off no problem, but there's like a dozen of them all clinging to the Shogun, trying to keep him in one place so Sasuke can just ram him, okay? And so Frankie can't really move, and he's just like, oh, you know, dang, this is kind of strong, you know? And so at this point, you got Nami, Usopp, and Tama running down the hallway on Komachiyo, and they're all screaming, and Frankie's like, oh, good timing. Hey, can you guys help me? And then Nami, Usopp, and Tama are like, help us, Frankie! Franosuke, help us! And he's like, wait, what? And so this is brilliant. I love this. And you know this was probably Usopp's idea, too, because Usopp is like a genius with this crap, okay? So, you got them running away from a giant army of gifters behind them. Obviously, Sasuke and the Armored Corps are going to think like, oh, sweet, two birds with one stone. We're holding down the Frankie Shogun, Master Sasuke's going to destroy him, and now this other army of gifters is about to take out these invaders, Nami, Usopp, and Tama on top of Komachiyo. Man, they've won. Like, that's like a pincer attack. Like, you basically ran away from one enemy right into another enemy, okay? And it's at that point that Tama jumps out and is just like, I'm here to even the odds! Go help Franosuke! And so all of the gifters that were chasing Komachiyo were actually, you know, part of Tama's army, and they were pretending to be the enemies, and they go attack all of the Armored Corps division that was hanging on to the Frankie Shogun, knock them out. And so Sasuke's about ready to ram them, right? And Sasuke basically rams into all of his own men. Frankie dodges out of the way, and then the freaking Triceratops just BAM! Slams into the armored division. The armor isn't really going to help him now at this point. And so it's hilarious. Nami and Usopp are like on top of Komachiyo, like sticking out their tongues, just like, haha, we win. And so Sasuke is at least smart enough to realize, like, okay, they're using some kind of devil fruit bullshit here. You know, there's no way that, like the higher echelons of our crew, the gifters and the headliners, like this freaking many of them, would just surrender their position and ally with the enemy for no reason, right? So there's obviously some kind of devil fruit at play here, but Sasuke has no idea. Meanwhile, Ulti is also charging at them in her Pachycephalosaurus form, and so Pachycephalosaurus Ulti is, like, right behind the gifter army. She jumps up to attack Nami. Nami takes out her climb attack, and then boom, Thunder Lance Tempo. Pretty much the same attack she used to defeat Khalifa back at CP9, back at Eni's lobby. Runs a lightning bolt right through freaking Ulti's heart, and she's like, heart paralysis is a thing. Shock! And so it hits her dead on. It doesn't drop her for good, though. It does drop her. It does hurt her. She does say, like, oh, that really hurt. But Nami mentions, like, I need a stronger lightning bolt in order to properly take her down. So she's kind of lamenting the fact she no longer has Zeus to augment the power, right? But there has to be another way that they can take her down. And so she does get struck by lightning right through the heart, okay? So that's... But she does get struck by lightning right through the heart, and it did seem to injure her. It didn't, like, bounce off of her scales or anything. So this is the way that you might be able to win. You're just going to have to, like, amp up the voltage or the amps a little bit, right? So anyway, here's the thing I will say.
And it might just be because they didn't have the opportunity yet, but, you know, Usopp's got his sharpshooting skills, and he's firing off the Dango and all of the different Armored Corps division and all the gifters around him. I feel like, and by the way, page 1 is rampaging behind them too with his giant mouth open. I feel like, and they don't mention it in the chapter, but at this point, they might have tried to get Ulti and page 1 to eat the Dangos. They might have even succeeded, but it didn't work because they were regular zones, not the smiles, okay? Because I feel like with page 1 as a Spinosaur rampaging behind them and then, like, keeping his mouth open the entire time, that's nothing for Usopp. Usopp should be able to, like, I got this. Goes into page 1's mouth, and Tama's just like, Usopp's like, okay, Tama, do your thing. He's like, stop, Mr. Dinosaur! Jurassic Park 3 sucked! He's like, what did you say? I'm like, okay, it doesn't work on them. Okay, fair enough. You know, so there it is. That doesn't happen, but I'm just saying, like, Ulti and page 1 are still coming after them, and they're still hostile. So I'm thinking unless they tried it and it failed, or they haven't tried it yet. Okay, so yeah, Usopp's doing that, and Tama's just going through the battlefield. Meanwhile, Frankie pulls out his mighty sword, Franken, the giant sword that we very rarely get to see of the Frankie Shogun, and he uses V for victory slash, and it's basically an attack that's just like whoosh, whoosh. Which, I don't know how practical that is in an actual battle to do a V-shaped slice, but in manga it looks awesome. But I love it all the same. It's like Victini from Pokemon with the V flash. So yeah, there's your, you know, obligatory Pokemon Victini reference that was going to happen in this video. Alright, so we don't know if it deals like the finishing blow to Sasuke. Oh, also, Frankie also, like, kicks Sasuke right in the face. You know, takes the Frankie Shogun's foot and just BAM! Right in the jaw. And then he takes out the sword and then slices Sasuke's stomach with it. Obviously, you gotta aim for the underbelly, anything that's not the face where it's armored up in the horns and everything. So Frankie does draw blood from Sasuke. It looks like a deep gash, a pretty deep wound here. I don't think it's going to be enough to take him out. Same thing with Ulti, obviously. She's still going to be okay. But yeah, so that's how those fights are going, and they're definitely, right then and there, Tama's power alone swayed that battle a completely different direction, because if Tama didn't show up with her power at that time, Frankie, the Frankie Shogun might be no more. It might have gotten gored by freaking Sasuke, and Frankie might have had to eject or blow it up or something, right? So we're doing good. Now we cut over to the third floor, which is Black Maria's domain. And so Black Maria is still chasing Sanji. Seems like Sanji is finally captured. He's covered in webs, and he was running around for a while. All of the male members of Black Maria's entourage are defeated, like that guy that was doing that as part of that routine with the, like, undressing the woman's kimono. So he's defeated. All the males are defeated, but none of the women are, of course, defeated, because that's against Sanji's chivalry. It is both his strength and his curse at the same time, it seems here. But Black Maria is very understanding. Black Maria is like, tell you what, Blackleg Sanji, tell you what, how about I let you live, and you just call Nico Robin over here? And, of course, Sanji is just like, I'm not doing that. And Black Maria is like, oh, come on now. Just, it won't be that bad, okay? We're just gonna torture her for a while, maybe a couple of years. I mean, rip off some limbs. We will probably kill her eventually. You know, but, of course, Master Kaido, you know, ordered this because Big Mom was like, you know, don't do anything to Nico Robin, because Nico Robin, of course, is needed to read the poneglyphs, you know, because Big Mom wasn't sure that Pudding's ability, the third eye thing, was gonna ever happen. So she's like, you know what? They have Nico Robin with him. She's the devil child. She can read poneglyphs. She's here on the island, you know, so forget it. Just make sure she survives and capture her, and then we'll be good, right? So Black Maria is being very, you know, pragmatic here with Kaido's orders, and just like, oh, okay, well, I captured one of the Straw Hats. I can use him to get Robin, right? And so she points over to another member of her entourage. It's a girl that has one of those tags on her face, the eye tags. I guess I should probably talk about this, because this chapter kind of expands upon that a little bit. Okay, so she says, speak to this girl with the tag on her face, and your voice will resonate and echo throughout the entire castle, like a megaphone or like an intercom system, okay? And the girl takes her, like, she kind of like clicks her ear. You hear like a beep or like a click, like she's turning on some sort of like Bluetooth headset or something, like some speaker system. And so Bao Huang, who is Kaido's like secretary, the flying squirrel smile, also had the tag. And we saw like a member of CP0 last chapter, there was another person with the tag, and that's the same symbol that's on who's like chest, like the tattoo, the eye symbol, kind of like the Sheikah symbol from, like, you know, Zelda, right? Okay, so what I'm thinking this is, we know it has nothing to do with who's devil fruit, because he has the saber-toothed cat devil fruit, right? I'm thinking either it is a type of ninjutsu, because ninjutsu is a straight-up thing that exists in Wano, like teleportation jutsu, substitute clone jutsus. That's a thing that kind of exists. Not on the level of, like, Naruto, where you can, like, summon, you know, giant fox spirits and, like, do curse seals and, like, freaking Rasen shurikens, but, like, basic level ninjutsu you'd see in, like, early Naruto kind of exists here in One Piece. So maybe it's a kind of thing where you draw on the tags, and then the tags are all connected to one another, sort of like an information network. If it's not that, if you're not getting ninjutsu involved, it's somebody that maybe has really good haki, like a really specially fine-tuned observation haki, where you have, like, the main person that's like a monk or something, like, in the center of it, and then you have everybody, you know, passing out all of these tags, and then the eyes are all linked together, sort of like the Rinnegan from Naruto, if we just keep up with those references. It's something like that, because it's not just one individual that has this power. It's like a bunch of these people all over Wano, and even animals. They take these tags and add them to, like, rats and mice and bats or whatever, and then they can fly over Onigashima, and you can basically see what they are seeing at any given time. So I'm thinking it's either somebody's devil fruit power that's like the center hub for all this, kind of like how you have the way that the Smails work. They don't have Den Mushis in Wano, they have the river pond snails that are weaker in terms of their reach, but they're more compact, and then you have the boss snail at the center that kind of relays the information back. It might be some deal like that. And so anyway, yeah, Black Maria's like, you know, speak to this girl, and then she'll be able to resonate your voice all over the place, and so if you call out for Robin, she will come, and then we'll capture her, okay? Sanji simply responds with, you know, never underestimate Nico Robin. You know, I'm never gonna sell out a member of my crew, and you do not underestimate her. You know, almost kind of like threatening Black Maria, like, oh, yeah, like Sanji's all beaten, he's all bloody, he's bound there. He's just like, oh, you want Nico Robin to show up? Oh, she's gonna kick your ass every day of the week. You know, you don't underestimate Robin, Sean. All right, so, and that's right. You don't. All right. So at any rate, that's what's going on there. Now we cut over, I think, to Bao Huang, who was the secretary, and this is sort of the last scene of the chapter, and this is the cliffhanger. Okay. So she has stated that she has located all of the members of the 9 Red Scabbards. Okay. After Law warps them away, I assumed Law warped them to where the minks were, but apparently Law, I guess, was pressed for time, so he just warped them into a random closet somewhere in the building, right? Like underneath, like on the 3rd floor, somewhere in the treasure trove hall. There's like a side room or whatever. They just got warped into a random empty room, okay, with no lights in it, right? And so they're all there bleeding out, you know, freaking Okiku lost an arm, everybody's beaten and senseless and everything. And so she's like, I found them, Master King, I found them. And King is currently, we actually don't see him fighting Marco, but he's still in the air with his wings. He's back in his human form now, or whatever, you know, King's species is. And it seems like he's still in the middle of a fight, so I'm assuming he's still fighting Marco. We just don't see it. And one of the flying gifters behind him is like, you know, oh, Master King, what do we do? And King's like, I'm kind of in the middle of something. He's like, send somebody else to go take care of them. You know, we need to eliminate those samurai. And so Black Maria hears about this through the information network, and she's like, oh, yeah, don't worry, that's actually really close to where I'm at. I'll go take care of him. And King's like, oh, could you? That would be swell, Black Maria, thanks. Bam! Freaking Phoenix! You know, okay. So Black Maria's like, oh, okay, well, I'm just gonna go take care of them now. Sanji's all beaten and bloodied, and he's all bound up with the strings and the web, so he's not going anywhere. And so the last scene of the chapter, though, is Bao Huang telling Black Maria to be careful, because there's not just the samurai in the room. And so we see that there's actually a rat that has one of those tags on its face, and the rat is like crawling around in the rafters of the room looking down to see who's in it. So that's like I said, the information network, those tags are all connected. Maybe it's like the talisman fruit or something, I don't know. But anyway, she mentions there's another member in there, there's another 10th individual in the room, but the room is so dark, I can't actually see who it is. I can just make out 10 shadows, and the 9 red scabbards are all injured, so they're not moving, but this last person is actually moving around the room, and it seems like they're treating their injuries. Okay, so be careful. I have no idea who that is, right? And so I don't know if they can use the power of the talismans to, like, control the rat. Like, rat, get closer and look, or if it's literally just a rat that they can just see what the rat sees. You know, they can't actually control the rat's movement. They can just connect through the eyes. Maybe something like that. I don't know. But anyway, we end out the chapter with a shadowy image. We've been getting lots of silhouettes this last few chapters, right? Kaido's hybrid as a silhouette, and now this mysterious individual as a silhouette treating Kinemon's wound as this person is also crying, it looks like. We only get the silhouette of their face, and part of their hair is kind of falling down, and then a single tear is falling down their eyes, and they're kind of clenching their teeth like as they're treating Kinemon. So we have no idea who this could be. All right, but we got some hints. All right, so and a break next week. Sorry about that. So first hint that we get is the height of this individual. All of the scabbards, except for like Kawamatsu, are really, really tall. Kinemon himself is 9'8". He's almost 10 feet tall, for God's sake, which is ridiculously huge. This at least in our world it is. In One Piece, not so much, but in our world, right, 10 feet tall, that's crazy. Anyway, the person that's treating Kinemon's injuries seems to be more like average height for a human, like maybe between 5 and 6 feet tall, something like that. And we see the hair of this individual falling down, also in silhouette, so we don't know anything more than that. But the hair strand does resemble what Toki and Hiyori, how they style their hair. And a lot of people, that's the general consensus, like, it's Toki! It's either Toki or Hiyori. I think those are the only two people it could practically be, unless Oda decides to create a whole new character. Unless, like, oh yes, by the way, Toki had another daughter that we just didn't know about this entire time, you know, or some bullshit like that. But if that's not the case, this is either Toki or it's Hiyori. All right, and how did Hiyori get to the island? Well, you can give any explanation on that. I mean, it's not really hard to explain how that happened. You know, you could have somebody allying with Hiyori, maybe Denjiro or Kyoshiro, you know, hooked up, maybe a connection or something. So it's not too far-fetched to say that Hiyori somehow made it to the island, if Tama somehow made it to the island, right? But as for Toki, which is the more interesting theory, Toki, of course, has the power of the time fruit, right? Now, it was stated that she chose to die back then. She chose to die because that's when Odin died, and that's how she felt like her journey was over. Basically, you know, her entire life, ever since the Void Century, she's been jumping further and further and further into the future, but she decided to settle and stop at Wano and lay down her life for her husband, who she loved. Okay, that's adorable, right? But there are some things there that don't sync up quite right. We don't exactly know the whole story of Toki. She's still a mystery, but I'm going to assume that she was given a task to fulfill way back when, during the Void Century, by somebody. Maybe it was Joy Boy that gave her the task, or maybe it was some member of the D clan that gave her the task. Maybe it was the ancient Amasuki or Kozuki clan that gave her the task. She had a job to do, right? Okay, now, I don't know what that job was. Maybe she already fulfilled it. Maybe just by making it to Wano and living there, she somehow fulfilled the task. I don't know. But it just seems like, well, I have this powerful time fruit, but, you know, I have a mission, but, you know, I'm just going to choose to die here. I feel like this is Toki right after the events that occurred 20 years ago. After she did the speech and she did the prophecy, she wrote off, and it was assuming that she died. Actually, I don't even think she wrote off. I think how that scene went was she was giving the speech, and then there were members of Kaido's crew that were in the crowd, kind of like sharpening their arrows or taking out their guns, like, oh, okay. And she's up there inspiring the people, like, in 20 years, they will return! And then Kaido's crew is like, uh-huh, sure they were. Click. And then we could imply they shot her, they killed her right there, and so that's the reason she's not around anymore. But they never mentioned anything about a body. I mean, yeah, there were the graves up at freaking, you know, the castle and everything like that, but those were unmarked, those were empty graves, right? Those were just monuments, right? There was a grave for Kinemon, too. Kinemon survived, of course. So, I'm just saying, like, if you were a random member of Kaido's crew, you know, it would be like, oh yeah, we killed Toki. Oh, where's the body?
oh, she fell into a river, she's gone, but we shot her, she's dead. This could literally be Toki right after that. Like, maybe she did get shot or whatever. She did get injured, and then she just teleports 20 years in the future to be like, okay, I gave the Man, that power is really weird, because you could literally give a prophecy. In 20 years, this prophecy will come to fruition. All right, now I'm going to teleport 20 years. Boop! Did the prophecy come to fruition? It did. Cool! You know, like, you could do that with the time fruit. So, Toki might still very well be injured, and she might be about to die, right? You know, she might be on the cusp of death anyway. She still chose to lay down her life in Wano, but she wanted to see at least... Maybe it's just like, I want to see my kids... one more time. I want to have some idea, some hope for the future, right? It might be something like that, where it's like, okay, I'm injured, I'm gonna die soon anyway, but I'm gonna hold on for just a little bit so I can make one more time jump to 20-something years in the future. I just want to see it, you know, fulfilled. I want to see Kaido fall. Maybe she witnessed Orochi get freaking beheaded. So she's like, oh, good, that's okay, that's half of the job done. You know, she wants to see Hiyori, she wants to see Momo one more time. And then after all this, then she'll finally die, you know, but not before she actually sees the prophecy through and through. Wano will still be her grave, and she will be next to Odin in the afterlife and all that romantic stuff and everything like that, but she had to go one more time into the future to see it through. All right, so the hope for the future. Also, I don't know if Toki would be aware of the devil fruit in a reincarnation. You know, like, obviously if she died, her fruit would be reincarnated. But if it really does get reincarnated, if it would get reincarnated in Wano anyway, that's really dangerous to have her die and her fruit be reincarnated, and just Kaido could find it, Orochi could find it, anyone could find it, and now have the powers of time and space at their freaking disposal. That's really scary. So if she did know about the reincarnation with such an important fruit, she'd be like, I can't die until I know everything's safe, and then I can die, and maybe the fruit will be reincarnated, but, you know, like, Kaido won't get their hands on it or something like that. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, other than Toki or Hiyori as another option, and Hiyori would make sense, just there to heal the scabbards. I mean, it's fine if it's her Hiyori, and you include her in the plot and all that stuff, but I don't know, just the way that it's depicted, I'm getting more of a Toki vibe. Either that, or Oda created some other character, you know, because I can't really think of anybody else it would be. Let me know down in the comments below, but yeah, I think this is pretty kind of, it's not as mysterious as like some other characters we've introduced, okay? But I guess we'll see where that goes. Alright, so Barry, that'll be chapter 1004. I hope you guys enjoyed. Break next week, we'll see what happens after that. Let me know how you feel about Tama's army of gifters being amassed. How do you think the battle between Sasuke and Frankie is gonna go, if this is gonna turn the tides? Does the Dango work on zones as well as smiles? How's the thing with Black? I guess Black Maria's gonna leave Sanji and then go and try to find what's going on with the scabbards. So, you know, if it's Toki there, I wonder if Toki could use her power, like, in small bursts. So, let's say you got all the scabbards in this room and they're injured, and then Black Maria's coming, and she's like, oh crap, an enemy's coming, I can't protect all of them. What if she only time jumps in the future, like, 5 minutes? So, if she were to do that, teleport 5 minutes into the future, Black Maria opens up the door, and it's like, nothing's in there. Maybe some splots of blood, but nothing's in there. And then she'd be, like, looking around the room, like, okay, they're clearly not in there. They must have moved. Where did they move? I don't know. It's like, all right, well, let's scour the floor. And then she shuts the door. Pop, and then they pop back into existence. And they just keep doing that. Every time someone's about to open the door, pop into the future for 5 minutes, and then you could basically just... I mean, if that's how the fruit works, if there's no limit on how many times you can teleport, or warp into the future, time travel, you can just kind of keep doing that in just short bursts, you know? So, yeah, that would probably be easier on the user than teleporting like 20 years into the future, right? You think teleporting that far into the future would drain a lot of, like, stamina or whatever, but just, like, little short bursts? Yeah, that's like the ultimate, like, evasion tactic, really. So, maybe something like that. I don't know. That is the case if it is Toki. Well, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. This will be Tekking and Barry signing out. Have a good day, everybody. Have a good Valentine's Day, everyone. Tekking signing out.